Sarah Walker sat alone in her quiet suburban home, clutching her phone with trembling hands. A voicemail notification from an unknown number had just appeared. She hesitated, her breath quickening, before pressing play. "Sarah, I know what you did. You can't hide forever. Check your mailbox." Her heart pounded as she froze in place. The eerie silence in her house was shattered by a faint knock at the door. 2 days earlier, Sarah had been living her seemingly normal life as a school teacher in a small Massachusetts town. People in the neighborhood adored her for her kindness and her friendly demeanor, but Sarah had a secret. Something she thought she had buried long ago. "People think small towns are safe, that nothing ever happens here, but I know better, because I've seen it." She had witnessed a horrifying argument between her neighbor, Jack Carter, and his wife, Lucy. She heard screams that night, followed by silence. The next morning, Lucy was gone. The police questioned everyone, including Sarah, but she had said nothing. She convinced herself it wasn't her business, but the guilt lingered. That evening, Sarah's carefully constructed world began to crumble. She heard strange noises outside her house. When she finally checked, she found a blood-stained envelope in her mailbox. Her hand shook as she opened it. Inside was a single note. "You know the truth. Speak, or you're next." Panic set in. She paced around her living room, debating whether to call the police. But what would she say? That she had kept quiet when her neighbor disappeared? Instead, she decided to call Emily, her best friend and a local journalist. "I didn't sign up for this," Sarah told Emily. "I just wanted to forget what I saw. But now, someone knows I kept quiet." Emily urged her to act. "If you stay silent, Lucy will never get justice. And whoever left that note, they're not bluffing." With Emily's help, Sarah started digging into Jack Carter's past. She discovered alarming details, his financial troubles, a history of violent behavior, and how Lucy had confided in neighbors about unexplained bruises before she disappeared. Sarah felt the walls closing in. She knew she couldn't avoid this anymore. "If Jack really hurt Lucy, there has to be evidence," Emily said. Together, they decided to search Jack's property. Late that night, Sarah snuck into Jack's backyard. What she found horrified her. A partially buried duffel bag under a tree contained a bloodied scarf, a knife, and Lucy's wedding ring. Sarah's stomach churned. As Sarah drove home that night, her car suddenly lost control. The brakes failed, sending her into a ditch. She climbed out of the wreckage, shaken but alive. When she inspected her car, she saw that the brake lines had been cut. A message was painted on her windshield in bright red: "Stay out of this." The next day, Emily mysteriously vanished. Sarah was terrified but knew she couldn't back down now. She gathered the evidence and took it to Detective Martin, who agreed to investigate but warned her to stay safe. Just when Sarah thought she was doing the right thing, everything turned upside down. Late one night, she received another voicemail. The voice was distorted but strangely familiar. "You shouldn't have trusted Emily. She's not who you think she is." Sarah pieced together the clues. Emily had been manipulating her all along. Emily and Jack were working together, and Sarah had been their pawn. Emily had planted the threatening notes and evidence to push Sarah into action. Sarah realized the truth. Emily's motive was greed. Lucy's life insurance policy named Sarah as a distant beneficiary, and Emily had planned to frame her for Lucy's disappearance. Determined to stop Emily, Sarah confronted her. "You used me," Sarah said, trembling with anger. "You were going to let me take the fall for everything." Emily smirked. "You were easy to manipulate, Sarah, always so eager to do the right thing." In the end, Sarah handed over all the evidence to the police, who arrested both Jack and Emily. But as they were led away in handcuffs, Emily whispered, "This isn't over." Days later, Sarah sat alone in her quiet home, trying to put her life back together, but just as she began to feel safe, her phone buzzed. Another voicemail. "I'm still watching you, Sarah." The screen cuts to black.